I never told my college roommate I knew he was sleeping in his car because he'd come back every morning like nothing was wrong, hair damp from the gym showers and a smile that didn't ask for help. I didn't want to shame him by offering what he was too proud to need. We weren't friends. That's the first thing I need to say. Not because we didn't like each other, but because we just weren't. We were assigned to the same dorm room sophomore year. That was it. His name was Troy. Quiet guy. Kept to himself. Polite. The kind of roommate who wiped down the bathroom sink after he used it and always wore headphones if I was sleeping. He never brought people over. Never made noise. Honestly, he was the easiest person I'd ever shared space with. I didn't ask many questions. Neither did he. We'd talk about classes sometimes. Share a joke here and there. But most of the time, we were just two people who shared a room. The first few weeks, I didn't think anything of it. I had a packed schedule and he seemed to disappear most nights. I figured he was out late or crashing with friends. But then I started noticing some stuff. He never came in at night. Ever. I'd fall asleep alone every single night and he'd come back early, like really early. Sometimes I'd be up getting ready for my 8 a.m. and he'd walk in just before I left. His hair would be wet like he'd just taken a shower. But I never once saw him use the dorm showers. No shower shoes, no caddy. No towel hanging up. Just him, walking in, wet hair, same hoodie like it was nothing. One Saturday morning, I went out earlier than usual to meet someone for a group project. That's when I saw it. He was walking back from the back of the lot behind the student center. That lot where nobody parked because it was far and kind of sketchy. He didn't see me. But I saw him. He climbed out of a dented old Honda Civic. He opened the door, stretched like he'd just woken up and stood there for a minute with his eyes closed. Then he wiped off the windshield with his sleeve. The windows were fogged. I remember that. It was still cold in March. He looked around, then zipped up his hoodie, grabbed his backpack from the front seat, and started walking toward the dorms. I didn't say anything. When I got back later, he was already inside, sitting at his desk like he'd been there all morning. Smiled at me. Morning. I nodded. Morning. I didn't bring it up. After that, I noticed more. He always had gym clothes in his bag. Even on days when he didn't go to the gym. I realized that's where he was showering. He'd go to the gym just to get clean. He never had food delivered. Never went out with the rest of us when we'd do late-night runs for pizza or whatever. He kept ramen, instant oatmeal, and peanut butter. That's it. He never complained. Never acted like he wanted more. And his clothes. He had maybe 3 or 4 shirts total. Wore the same ones over and over. Same sneakers every day. They were worn down at the soles. I started thinking back. The day we moved in, he showed up alone. No parents. No boxes. Just a backpack and 1 duffel bag. I had a whole van and my dad carried in 3 crates just of snacks. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Now I did. I started doing these little things. Buying more than I needed and forgetting stuff on the counter. Leaving extra snacks out. Asking if he wanted to come with me when I went to the dining hall. Acting like I just didn't want to eat alone. He always smiled. Always said, "I'm good, man. Thanks, though." That's the thing. He never once asked for help. Never looked ashamed. Never let on that anything was wrong. And I never forced the issue. I think I was scared he'd feel like I was exposing him. Like I was saying, "Hey, I know you sleep in your car." I didn't want him to feel like I was pitying him. So I just pretended I didn't know. But it sat with me. Every single day it sat with me. That winter we had a blizzard. Campus was basically shut down for 2 days. I stayed in, of course. So did almost everyone. But Troy? I didn't see him that night. I stayed up. Pretended to sleep. But I didn't. I was listening. No door opened. No one came in. The next morning he walked in like always. Hair wet. Hoodie zipped up. He had a tiny bit of frost still clinging to his beard. Like he'd brushed it off but missed some. He saw me sitting up and smiled. "You survived the snowpocalypse?" I laughed weakly. "Barely. That day I went to the gym. Not to work out. I just wanted to see what it was like. The locker rooms were warm, clean, had free shampoo and soap. I realized it made sense. It was the only place on campus he could get warm, clean, and alone. And I hated myself for going there to confirm it. Like I was spying on him. Like I was collecting proof of something he didn't want to admit. I never asked. That spring, we moved out. He packed everything into the same car I'd seen him crawl out of that first time. It didn't take long. He didn't have much. Before he left, he held out his hand. Hey, man. Thanks for being cool this year. I shook his hand. Yeah. You too. Then he smiled, climbed into his car, and drove off. I watched him go. That was the last time I saw him. Summer came and went. I moved into a new apartment for junior year, off campus, a little studio that my parents helped pay for. I was supposed to have a new roommate, but he dropped out last minute, so I ended up with the place to myself. I thought about Troy more than I expected to. I didn't have a way to contact him. He wasn't on social media. I even tried looking through the university directory, but there was nothing after sophomore year. I wasn't sure if he transferred, dropped out, or something else happened. About a month into the semester, I ran into someone from our floor. Gabe. We'd never been close, but we recognized each other and made small talk. Out of nowhere, I asked, "Hey, you remember Troy?" He nodded. "Yeah, man. Quiet guy, right? What about him? You ever see him again?" Gabe frowned. "Huh. No. Come to think of it, no. I think someone said he left school. That was it. No big story. No one really noticed he was gone. And that more than anything stuck with me. He was just gone." Later that night, I was walking back from the grocery store. My arms were full of bags I didn't really need. Chips, soda, frozen dinners. I passed by the same parking lot near the gym. It was late, almost midnight, and I saw a car. A different one. Not his, but the windows were fogged. It hit me hard, like something in my chest tightened. I stood there too long, staring, until someone walked by and gave me a weird look. I left quickly. That night, I sat in my apartment and thought about how easy it was for someone to disappear. How a person could be living just feet away from you and still be completely alone. I started thinking back to little things I hadn't paid attention to in the moment. Like how he once said, "Yeah, my folks are out west," but never mentioned them again. Or how he never got packages or mail. How he always said he had stuff to do over breaks but never left campus. One time I joked about my dad making me haul all my books home over winter break. I'd said, "Your parents make you do that too?" And he just smiled. "Nah, not really." I didn't realize it then, but that was probably the closest he ever came to telling me anything real. A few weeks later, I saw someone walking through campus in the same beat-up hoodie. For a second, I thought it was him. My heart jumped. But it wasn't. That's when I did something I'd been avoiding. I went to the financial aid office and asked about him. They couldn't give me much confidentiality and all that, but the woman behind the counter gave me a look. "You're a friend of his?" she asked. I hesitated. "Sort of. I just haven't seen him around." She looked at her screen, then back at me. "He's not enrolled anymore." "What happened?" She sighed. "He didn't come back after spring semester. We tried reaching out. No response." "Did he drop out?" She didn't answer directly. "Sometimes students don't have enough support. We do what we can, but it's not always enough." That haunted me. He had done everything right. Got to class. Turned in work. Stayed quiet, stayed clean, stayed out of trouble. And it still wasn't enough. Because no one knew. Or maybe they knew, and like me, they just didn't say anything. A couple months passed. I was deep into midterms, barely sleeping, running on caffeine and microwave burritos. But I kept thinking about him. One night, I was walking home late from the library when I saw a flyer on a campus bulletin board. It was old, edges curling, colors faded from the rain. But it caught my eye because it had the word "missing" in bold letters. It wasn't Troy, but the kid looked young, maybe just out of high school. Underneath was a message. "If you've seen this person or know someone struggling with housing, call this number." I took a photo of it, not because I knew the kid, but because for the first time it clicked. Troy hadn't just been broke. He was homeless. He didn't lose housing. He never had it. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the frost in his beard. The way he always said, "Nah, I'm good," like it was a reflex. I thought about the gym showers, the ramen packets, the hoodie that never came off. So I started volunteering. Not out of some heroic reason. I just couldn't stop thinking about him. I signed up to do intake at a shelter just off campus. They mostly helped adults, but sometimes younger people came in, students who'd fallen through the cracks. That's where I learned the term housing insecure. That's where I learned how many kids were just like Troy. Quiet, smart, hardworking, invisible. One night, I met a guy who said he used to crash in a parking garage for months. Just slept in the stairwell. Nobody ever noticed. He told me, "You learn how to disappear when people don't ask questions." I nodded, but I didn't say anything, because I had known someone like that. Later that winter, I ran into an old professor of mine at a coffee shop. We got to talking, and I asked if he remembered Troy. He thought for a second. "Troy, yeah. I remember him. Quiet kid. Sharp. Wrote this amazing essay on Steinbeck." Then he just stopped showing up. I asked if anyone reached out. The professor looked at me, confused. I assumed he transferred. I didn't correct him, but it made me realize something. Troy wasn't just alone in our dorm. He was alone everywhere, and nobody noticed. Or if they did, they didn't say anything. Like me. I still don't know where he went. I don't know if he made it through, if he found a place to stay, or if he ever got tired of pretending he was okay. What I do know is this: every time someone thanks me now for noticing, for caring, for asking the right question, all I can think about is the one time I didn't, and how some silences don't feel kind anymore once you know what they were covering up.